Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust for August 26th and welcome you all here. The first item on our agenda after the call to order is to approve the minutes of the September 28th meeting, and these minutes have been distributed to all our trustees previously. Are there any comments, corrections, or additions to the minutes? Chair will entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Cast your votes, and it is approved. See? Thank you. The next item is to ratify some claims that the trust paid, and they were included in your packet. Are there any questions or comments on the claims? With one exception, they're all related to TIF 8, and which is just, as you well know, just flow-through money for the trust. Jim, would you like to comment on one claim that is on there that is not TIF 8? It's a gold payment.
We do have a gold payment to I2E this time for $33,337 in accordance with our previous agreement.
Would you like to have Brett, for instance, refresh the trust on what that agreement was?
Yes, this is the first payment over a 3-year. We have a 3-year contract with I2E to help create a business launch program here in Oklahoma City, and this is the first quarterly payment for the period of July 1 through September 30th. And I think what we're going to try to get I2E to come in next month and give a little presentation, gives the status of how they're doing with that project.
Okay. I think there was some confusion early on that this was a business incubator project, and this is a school for potential businesses, as I understand it, rather than an incubator in itself.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I remember we struggled with the term.
Yeah.
This is the money that was leveraged with federal funds and other partners.
Yes, sir, there's a federal grant associated with this.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on the payments? Second? But don't be bashful, fellows. Jump in anytime you want to. It's this way. Any number can play. We have a motion made and seconded to ratify the trust payments. Please cast your votes. And it passes. Thank you very much. The next, item 4, is items for individual consideration. The first one, item A, is concurrence with the City Council on Amendment Number 2 and final acceptance, Project MP 0412A, the Murray Botanical Gardens demolition package, a decrease of $356.50. And this money is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. It's about with my glasses on. That's pretty good. Anyway, it's a decrease, and that's a pleasant surprise. This is a TIF-funded project. Are there any comments or questions on this? We finished with the demolition, the first phase of this project. Okay. I have a motion made and second to concur with the City Council on Amendment Number 2 and the final acceptance package. All those in favor, please cast your votes. And the item carries. Thank you. Item B, concurrence with the City Council and Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust on final plans and specifications for projects TC 0394, channelization and signalization improvements, PC 0411, drainage and roadway construction, and WC 0676, Reno water main, vicinity of Council Road and West Reno Avenue. And this is a project I think we've all had lots of discussion on. This deals with the Horizon project and the new outlet mall. And I think there was an article in the paper just last week about that they have secured permanent financing and ready to go with the project. So we're satisfied with what they've done a lot of work out there already, even before their permanent financing was in place. This is the first of probably several things we'll see on this in the coming years. So, Chairman, entertain a motion to approve concurrence.
Second.
I have a motion made and second. Please cast your votes. And the item passes. Thank you very much. Item C is a similar related project also in conjunction with the Horizon project, and this is concurrence with a joint resolution by the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority and the City of Oklahoma City authorizing the Oklahoma City to expend funds from the 2007 GO bond authorization for some engineering services and related expenses. Are there any questions or comments about this item? A motion made and second to approve item C, the concurrence with the joint resolution of the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority and the City of Oklahoma City. Please cast your votes. And the item is approved. Thank you. Item D, ratify and approve addendum numbers 1, 2, and 3 and award a joint contract with the City of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust for Sherwood Construction Company, Inc., Project PC 0387, (10), WC 0684, SC 0804, Project 180 Streetscape, 5 locations for the sum of $8,490,952.74. Any questions or comments on this particular item? Yes.
Just a question, Mr. Couch. On page 2, where it talks about the tabulation of bids, that first thing under the column down there, ENG estimate, that's the engineering estimate? That's
Yes.
bidding? Who's doing the estimate in alternative 3, where you estimate $450,000 and end up spending $30,000? That was just a little interesting to me.
Yeah, I think they probably made a mistake. It's interesting to note, though, at this point of the Project 180 program, and we're into it a little bit now. We've done the glazing project at the Myriad Gardens, we've done the demolition of the Myriad Gardens, we've done the rebuild of the Myriad Gardens, and the first architectural project, or a package on the Myriad Gardens. We have another architectural package to go, and we're just almost right on budget on that. We still have money left in change order contingencies, but we're in really good shape on that. And the first Project 180 Streetscape, the one that's down on Reno and Robinson, that's done by Allen Construction, that came in slightly under budget. The second one is the project that's up around the Memorial, and that went to Rudy Construction. That was just a little bit over budget. And now this is the third one on Sherwood Construction, which is doing Walker's and streets off of Walker, a small part of Harvey, and that came in actually quite a bit under budget. So we're a bunch of the way into the overall 180 project at this point in time. We're not home free yet, but each time you get another contract award under your belt, your risk abates, and we're feeling a lot better about this program at this stage than maybe we did with unknown risk maybe a year ago.
But it sounds like there isn't a pattern yet that we can figure out costs going up or down. It's just kind of take one at a time.
Actually, I'm feeling, because the real wild card was the streetscapes, because of the tight time frame we were giving them and the areas they were working and all the construction congestion in the downtown area and such. And we're actually seeing more bidders. As you can see on this one, we had, can't remember how many bidders we had, 6. The first project we had 2. And so we're seeing it, and we're seeing that everybody, after you open that first bid and the numbers are kind of exposed, then everybody kind of goes back and adjusts their prices, and they want another one. They know they're going to have to go at least that good, if not better, to get that next one. So we think we're okay. And if the first project, the one that Alan's doing, was a problem, and all of a sudden it wasn't going so well, and all of a sudden people get concerned and they start putting contingencies in. That project's going really very well at this point in time. So nobody's panicking, seeing problems and such. So I feel pretty good on a number of fronts on the overall construction projects.
Those are total turn. The contractor takes the risk unless there's a utility line or something.
Yeah. Oh, there's always unforeseen projects, and it really is a unit. Yeah, it's in the unit prices. Sorry, there are unit prices. So if we have an overrun of additional curb and gutter, or we put in some additional things, some additional street lighting or something like that, of course those can always overrun based on additional unit prices. But no, it's a fixed contract with the contractor.
Are there any other comments or questions about Project 180 since we're discussing it right now?
Just with the tip-off tomorrow night, how's it looking in front of the Oklahoma City Arena?
Well, the Thunder won't be able to get there. The traffic's so bad.
No. The roadway concrete's almost all in. There's a little bit of a problem because of a water leak that occurred on the very northeast portion of it. And so that isn't quite taken care of yet, but all the rest of it's open. It looks good. It is pretty much seamless between the Ford Center and the Cox Center for pedestrian access. And of course, before Thunder games, and especially before the first Thunder game, we're going to have some events out there, and so the plaza will not be opened anyway. But as far as being able to pull in staging or trucks or stages or whatever they need to do, that will not be a problem for the game tomorrow night. So it isn't quite done yet, but it should be seamless for most of our patrons for the game.
I think that the city's traffic department's done a remarkable job trying to keep traffic flowing, given the amount of construction that's going on downtown and the way it changes rapidly. If you have a route that's good today, tomorrow it may not be. And I think our traffic department, trying to keep the public abreast of it, has done a great job.
I agree, but I really appreciate the public's response to this, because we haven't been inundated with calls into our offices, you know, what are you doing to downtown? I can't get around, I was late for a meeting and that kind of stuff. A few, but overall, and they're pretty well understanding of what's going on and the change is going to happen for downtown. And I think they're being patient, and I think that's only going to, their patience will improve once they can drive on a couple of new roads and say, hey, this looks pretty good, and if this is what we're waiting for, this will be okay, and it's worth the temporary disruption.
I don't know if anybody knows anyone at the Oklahoman, but in the sports page, perhaps when they're doing a preview of that night's game, to say these are routes that you may want to consider and have kind of a standing map for the rest of the season might be a neat service to their readers and to the Thunder patrons. So
that's an interesting idea, Dave. Okay, that pretty much completes items A through D. E is a site. I'm sorry, we didn't vote on D. On D, yes, right. We need a motion on D. So we have motion made and second. Please cast your votes. And we voted on D. Now we can do item E. Item E is a report. Robin, I'm sorry, I'm actually stuck up there. There are a lot of representatives in the chamber here, and you won the honors to come and make the report.
Thank you so much. Robin Roberts-Krieger, Executive Vice President, Greater Oklahoma City Chamber. I'm going to break my report into 3 sections. First, I'm going to update you on some new project activity and an update on some existing projects. Second, I will cover the business retention and expansion report, which is in your packet of information. That's an annual report. And then third, I will do a quick summary of the first quarter for our city contract fiscal year, and then we have a new relocation video that we will share with you, and then go to questions and answers. Please, if you want to interrupt me, whatever works best for you. Does that work for you, sir? Okay. First off, you've heard us talk about Project Twister, maybe. That was recently announced in the Oklahoman. The company is Nash Finch. They are doing warehouse and distribution for commissaries servicing the military throughout the south central part of the country. This project is one we've worked on for over a year. We've had lots of different iterations. Existing building, we did not have it. Build to suit. They were looking at some other cities. It came down to us in one other city. And then they kind of took a different direction, which I think is really good news for us. They have decided to buy 2 existing warehouses and retrofit those, and they have been out of utilization for some time, so it's a great adaptive reuse. For those of you who did not see the article, the 2 warehouses are in the vicinity of Southeast 59th and I-35. And again, they're planning to spend substantial amounts of money to completely renovate those 2 facilities. And that area of the city will benefit from that revitalization. You'll probably hear a little bit more on this project. Given the amount of retrofitting, it's going to be a while before we see job creation there. So we're working with the company, and the city's aware of this project. Second is Boeing, obviously, in the first quarter of our fiscal year with you, August 2nd, the announcement that Boeing would be relocating up to 550 engineers out of Long Beach, California, which has garnered a lot of great press. Subsequently, Boeing requested that we take a group of experts out to Long Beach to meet with the employees, their spouses, and their families to really try and help them increase the percentage that accepts the relocation offers. And for those who do not get offers, they are still encouraged to apply for jobs here as well. It just would be a slightly different relocation package. So we went out with a group on the 7th, the day after, of September, the day after Labor Day, and did a 3 to 6 seminar and a 6 to 9 p.m. seminar. And really, the company had done focus groups with these employees, and so we tried to focus on the areas that they were interested in. We had medical issues. We had trailing spouses that would be looking for employment here. It might not be what we think is important. It's what they thought was important. And so we had great feedback, and we actually created, with our marketing and communications department, a new website that is up and running. It's abetterlifeokc.com. It's all one word, abetterlifeokc.com. That's where we spent a lot of energy because Boeing said these are all engineers and they prefer to do everything online. The paper's not much interest for them. And the site is designed for people new to Oklahoma City to learn about what it's like to live here, work here, et cetera. And it's already being utilized by some of our companies who are also relocating executives, some of the universities and research institutions that are trying to bring in scientists and so forth. So that has a much longer life than just the specific Boeing project. And also, if you go into that site, you can access a video of the first hour presentation, which is an overview. It's very interactive. And for those of you who went on our Chamber Board retreat, that's what we showed on the buses going down. So again, we're very pleased with how well the Boeing project is going, and I think we'll be hearing more good news in the future, so we're very excited about that. Also, we do believe we will have a new project for the next trust meeting. We're still working that through with city staff, but we may be bringing you a memo for a new project on the 9th of November. We actually had 20 new projects in the first 3 weeks of September, so fall has been busy so far, and we hope it continues like that. And that's kind of a quick summary of the activity we're working on right now. Second, I'd like to call your attention to our annual business retention and expansion report. This is the same fiscal year as the city, so this is a July 1 to June 30, 2010 summary. And I'll draw your attention to a couple of key things. We have 2 full-time people that actually spend all of their time working with our existing primary job companies to try and make sure that we are there to help them grow, to try and prevent any risk that we can for losing those companies, and then also if there are potential new business units that we might be able to recruit, much like the Boeing business unit, that we're aware and we can assist in that arena. I have our 2 business retention and expansion managers with us today. Michael Chumo, who's been with us for a couple years, and he specializes on the manufacturing side of the house, logistics, warehouse, distribution, et cetera. And then our newest hire, Len Becker. Len came to us from Arizona. Many of you know Tiffany Ord. Tiffany moved to Arizona. Len moved from Arizona. I'm not quite sure how that worked out, but Len's been with us since this summer, and he focuses more on the office, shared services call center, and assists with biosciences. I just want to make sure that you got to see the 2 people that are out in the field working every day. We met with almost 300 companies over the course of a year. And I would call your attention to page 4 in the report. Basically, it talks about what the company said their expansion potential was, as well as what they perceive to be the community's strengths as a place to do business, as well as barriers to growth. I think it should be noted that a year ago, the expansion numbers were much lower. They have come back. Companies are much more active in looking at expansion opportunities. Some of that is equipment, investment in equipment, and some of that is actual hires. I would say we probably see slight growth over the next year. Overall, I would call our companies stable. We haven't seen any large layoffs. We've seen smaller layoffs. And, knock on wood, so far, we're feeling pretty good about that. We're starting to hear the companies talk a little bit more about hiring, not large hires. They're being very strategic and thoughtful, and they're still being very cautious. We also see a lot of cash in these companies right now. I call it sitting on the sidelines. A lot of the companies are waiting to see what happens with the elections and what happens with the tax policies at a federal level in particular before they make some decisions on what to do. And that's not just with our existing companies. We see pent-up demand nationally. In talking to my counterparts around the country, we're all kind of watching this. So are the site selectors. So I think a lot of companies are positioning, and I kind of have mixed emotions, but I think we are going to start seeing a lot of merger and acquisition activity again, which can be good news and bad news depending on which company's acquiring whom. So we're going to be watching that. I would draw your attention also to page 7, where we talk a little bit about investment in equipment and facilities as well as merger and acquisition activity. And again, A lot of our companies don't know they're being looked at, especially the ones that aren't headquartered here, but they obviously all take a good hard look at what's happening within their industry sectors. We are continuing to work with some of our existing companies, much as we have with Affinia and some others that are part of a larger strategy. We have one in play right now where there was an acquisition, they're closing plants, and we're competing to hang on to our plant and grow it, and some other people's plants will be going away. So being part of the team with our local companies is really important as we help them look at incentives and other tools that might help us be more competitive than some of the other states that we're competing against. And then finally, I would draw your attention to pages 10 and 11. These are basically some of the things that the companies say are barriers to growth, and those are areas that we all need to pay attention to. It's our job at the Chamber, but it's also kind of a community-wide call to action. One is the availability of skilled workers in some sectors. Because the unemployment is not in the 3% level, it's a little over 6%. It's not across the board like it was a few years back, but within certain sectors like IT, we still do have some issues with workforce. And we are, again, and continue to have concerns with folks about graduation rates out of high school, quality of education, can they turn a fraction into a decimal, can they get to work on time, reading and writing skills, really some of those basic soft skills. They just really struggle sometimes with that coming out of the college system. They, by and large, are pleased with the career tech system, but again, we have 10 districts that touch us in some way. And in fact, today we had a meeting with the career tech system about making sure that that is a more seamless process. Companies shouldn't have to pick which career tech, but be able to work more comprehensively with all of them based on the skills that they need for their workers. So that's just kind of a quick summary of this report, and I will move on to our quarterly report if that works for you.
Robin, just a quick question / suggestion. Robin was kind to provide some of the data to me right as they were going to press, and it was an opportunity for me to be speaking with the Chancellor Glenn Johnson asked me to speak to the university and college presidents from the public institutions in Oklahoma. And so they were very, very interested in the comments about education. Mm-hmm. And so from that standpoint, I don't know if there's more data, verbatims, but if there was accepted information, certainly the higher ed institutions seem very interested in that. But it strikes me that with our 24 districts for mm-hmm. pre-K through 12, that it might be enlightening for them too. So I know that's extra effort, but the response was very strong, because that's the first time that they've, in recent memory, had this kind of timely information on what the expectations were. And so it may be a way to continue the discussion and create some partnerships.
That's a great suggestion. I'll coordinate with Drew Dugan and see if we can't make that. I think we probably do a lot of that with career tech, but I think pre-K through 12 and higher ed, it tends to be more anecdotal or specific areas. So that's a great suggestion. We will do that.
Are there any questions,
yes.
Robin? I want to pass along a compliment. At lunch today, I understand there was a sharp increase in the number of Boeing employees, percentage-wise at least, who agreed to move to Oklahoma City after your visit out there.
The first group, yes, it was 6 times what they expected, so we were thrilled. We have not gotten the data back, though, and that was a fairly small group. We're waiting on the data for the next group that it's a little slower process because it was a large group that were being offered relocation packages. So
was there one item that stuck out as being a concern? You mentioned health.
Oh, with Boeing?
With Boeing.
And Roy and Cynthia. Education, the average age was in the late 40s. Again, both husband and wife tend to be highly, highly skilled. They're almost all, if not bachelors, they have masters and PhDs. So education for lifelong learning for them, as well as the educational quality and attainment for their kids, is a huge, huge issue. One of the questions we had to get answered early on is whether or not their kids would get in-state tuition, and the law states that if you're relocated to Oklahoma for work reasons, you are immediately an in-state resident. They were thrilled about that. But in addition to that, really, we tried to cover everything from public schools to charter schools to every kind of educational opportunity, OSSM, et cetera. But that was for the group that still has kids in school, absolutely. Obviously, real estate. We were actually asked to give a couple of real examples of houses that are for sale today in the region. We did pretty much the 10-county region, everything from urban housing downtown to 10-acre lots with houses, and they asked us to give them the price per square foot because they said in California that's how you think about real estate. So in addition to the asking price and the square footage, the price per square foot, and instead of miles from their existing facility, we gave it to them in travel time because they're not one and the same. So that was, the real estate was of interest to them as well. Anything else I'm not thinking about, Cynthia, Roy? And, it was really all over the board.
Weather.
Okay, the first thing they asked about was weather. Something about tornadoes. And I think we handled it well. We handled it with a little bit of humor, and we took a few shots at Hollywood, and we did some analysis versus hurricanes, and, coming from the West Coast, I mentioned forest fires and range fires being a little bit of an issue down in that part of the world, too. I'm glad we didn't talk about earthquakes, but anyway.
Small earthquakes here.
Yeah, the earthquakes are a little bigger than ours, but weather was front and center, and it was really kind of, get through it and then let's continue to talk. I think anecdotally, one of my favorites, I was sitting in the back of the room, and after the first general session, a teenage boy, probably 13, 14, stood up, turned to his father, and he said, California can't do anything right, Dad, let's just move to Oklahoma. And I thought the kid was a good kid, but it was pretty funny, out of the mouth of babes. Any other?
Just another comment that I appreciate the resources that the Chamber, and I guess indirectly this trust is putting on retention and expansion. For the longest time it seemed like would be looking to recruit, and yet most of our growth is going to be organic in the future.
Yeah.
Plus, these are the folks that are providing us the votes that provide the resources for this trust to operate. So for all those reasons, I'm glad that so much attention is being paid to retention and expansion.
And I think some of the projects that we're working right now, to a certain degree, the press that we garnered from the Boeing announcement got some people's attention, so hopefully those kinds of announcements will have a life of their own when it comes to more announcements. So thank you. Okay. If you would open quickly to the table of contents in the bound copy that we gave you, the spiral bound, it just talks about some of the exhibits under separate cover, and they're in the portfolio that's the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber covers. So just so you know, that's some of the information. He's showing Exhibit A here. And again, some of these are online available as well as in a CD, so it depends on what the client needs and wants. And we will preview the relocation video at the end that the marketing department, Cynthia and her team, put together recently for us, and we actually used in our presentation with Boeing. Let's see, if you go to page 2 at the beginning of the booklet, right behind the table of contents, you'll see a long list of stories coordinated and assisted. And Cynthia Reed is here today if during Q&A you have any questions. But we continue to get a lot of national accolades. Obviously, the resiliency of our economy has helped to a great degree. We've had some great opportunities to go out and pitch stories, both as a chamber and as a city. And they seem to just continue to have a life or momentum of their own. And so it's been a real coup for us. You cannot buy advertising that gets you this kind of media attention. So, again, there's a few examples of things that we have worked on. I would then draw your attention to tab A, and on that first page, under the third box, web presence. Again, our marketing department, we did a complete redo of our economic development website, and the number of hits and visits is up substantially. We believe that site has a lot more value to companies, site selectors, and individuals, and we will continue to populate that site with the most current information. And again, as industry trends change, I started when I was much younger. Our proposals were books that were about this thick, and we actually reference things in books and not on the internet. And today, almost everything we do is electronic. So that website and the data that we populate it with is critical for us to get through the first cut to where the phone call actually comes in, and we're going to get a site visit on a project. And then I would also refer you back to tab B, which talks about project activity. We had 29 actual project locates. That's a mix of retention and expansion projects as well as recruitments. The Boeing project is included in that number. And also, you probably noticed the average salary number is fairly high, and that is in large degree because of the Boeing locate. Those are very highly skilled, well-paid positions. So it was a very active first quarter, and the way things are going, we hope the second quarter is equally so, given there's a couple vacation times in there for holidays, but we're again seeing a lot of activity. And on the next page where we talk about our primary job-based projects, you can kind of see where we are on lead activity. It picked up a lot in September, and actually I think October is going to be comparable to September. And then prospects, visits to town, they were a little bit soft over the summer, which is fairly consistent. We've had quite a few already in October, so I think that will pick up. And again, I know I've gone a little bit long today. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer those before we show the relocation video.
The only question I had is, who gets credit? Is it Cynthia or Roy, you or Jim on the cover story in the Sports Illustrated this week?
Well, given that this is a report on the city contract, it's all about Mr. Couch.
Okay, thanks. That was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great article. Any other questions for me? And again, this is available on our website as well as in a mailer. It's a booklet, a small undersized booklet that has a CD and all the information in it. If you need copies, just let us know.
What do you know about Oklahoma City? Actually, what's more important is what you don't know about Oklahoma City, because things are changing fast. So let's take 5 minutes and run the numbers. It starts with 1 and 2, as in 1.2 million people in the metro area. Oklahoma City enjoys that comfortable place between not too large and not too small, where it's easy to live and just as easy to visit. The healthy economy just makes it even better. Our strong housing market, gross metropolitan product, and low unemployment rates were recognized by Businessweek magazine and earned Oklahoma City a number 3 spot on their list of 40 strongest U.S. metro economies. In similar findings, the Huffington Post and Business Insider both listed Oklahoma City as number 4 on their reports of cities that were best overcoming the recession. Add in the low cost of living and quick commute times, and you have everything you need for an ideal lifestyle. Forbes magazine nailed it. They ranked Oklahoma City number 5 in America's best bang for the buck cities, among cities with over 1 million in population. Where else can you enjoy all the perks of a big city with average commute times of about 20 minutes? You'll reduce a little of the stress getting to work and look forward to coming home too, because our housing market offers not only great value, but great variety. Modern, traditional, urban, artsy. No matter how you define your lifestyle, you'll find a place that makes just your kind of statement. Downtown living has become its own scene in recent years, with 2,300 housing units built or planned, all within walking distance from plenty of dining, shopping, culture seeking, and coffee drinking. If your style is more in the neighborhood of traditional and family friendly, we have historical districts, new developments, charming streets, all at cozy prices. And you'll find plenty of ways to fill all that time you're not spending tied up in traffic. The Oklahoma River, just on the southern tip of downtown, is a recently renovated hotspot, a 7-mile stretch lined with trails, pedestrian bridges, and landscaped parks, and filled with the sounds of excitement and cheers from world-class rowing and kayaking championships, regattas, and more. Hundreds of miles of new bike trails, sidewalks, and parks throughout the city are opening up new opportunities to make an active lifestyle a practical lifestyle. It's just part of why we say Oklahoma City offers a better living, a better life. And here are 6 number 1 rankings to back it up. Number 1 most cost-effective large city in the U.S. Number 1 most affordable large metro in the U.S. Number 1 most affordable housing market. Number 1 in home value gains in the nation. Number 1 lowest cost of doing business in the U.S. And number 1 large metro in the nation to launch a business. And all that good living is healthy living, too. Oklahoma City landed at number 7 when Forbes.com recognized our exceptional air quality and clean water quality as one of America's 10 cleanest cities. Looking for culture? Here's just a quick look. The 120,000 college students filling the 18 colleges and universities in the metro area are excited about an unemployment rate for young adults that is routinely ranked among the lowest in the nation, at less than half the rate of other cities, and an annual income growth that is third best at 7.2%. And for the even younger set, Oklahoma City has invested heavily in education, renovating or replacing all 72 schools in the district in recent years, and is now home to 2 of the nation's top 100 high schools. What else is booming in Oklahoma City? The aerospace, biotech, energy, and medical industries. Oklahoma City's low cost of doing business, coupled with the high value it places on investing in its future, has proven to be a powerful formula. A few of Oklahoma City's industry numbers include a top 10 ranking in traditional aerospace occupation employment in the U.S., generating $1.9 billion in income. 2 of the largest independent producers of natural gas, both ranked on Fortune 500's best places to work, are headquartered here. More than 700,000 square feet of affordable, state-of-the-art lab and office space for medical research and development, employing 44,000 people. 60,000 plus healthcare employees at the city's 20 plus hospitals with more than 5,000 beds. It all adds up to more time, more value, more convenience, more opportunity, and more of the good life. But that's what Oklahoma City is all about. More for less. To find out more, contact the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce.
There was one thing I forgot to mention. I've had a couple questions on timing for Boeing. They won't be bringing anyone here until probably March, April of 2011, and then that's the first unit, and it'll flow through 2012. So we probably won't be coming to you until they have a better feel for the staging, the timing, and they want to make sure they're not disrupting workflow. So they're still working through a lot of that internally. So
That's a great video, Robin. Thank you for sharing with us. Are there any other comments or questions of Robin before she gets too far away? Robin, thank you for your reports. The next item on our agenda is the General Manager reports. It was in your packet. Are there questions or comments on it? Rick, you fooled them again, so congratulations. Next is comments from the staff.
No, sir.
From the trustees. From our citizens. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.